Have you ever really thought about what happens right after you click Buy Now? I mean, it feels like straight up magic, right? But behind that click is this massive hidden world of logistics, all working at a truly incredible speed. So today, we're going to go inside that world and unpack the high-tech revolution that makes it all tick. Let's dive in.
So, the absolute explosion of online shopping has just completely rewritten the rules of the game. Warehouses, which are the backbone of this whole system, are feeling some serious pressure. They've got to be able to handle this huge and, honestly, really unpredictable wave of orders, all while we, the customers, expect things to show up faster and faster. It's a massive operational headache.
So the big question is, how on earth are companies supposed to solve this puzzle? What does that next generation warehouse actually look like? Beyond all the cool futuristic animations we see online. Well, that is exactly what we are here to figure out.
And the answer, or well, at least the promised answer, usually comes down to this one buzzword: Warehouse 4.0. It definitely sounds impressive, but what does it really mean?
Okay, so in theory, Warehouse 4.0 is basically the fourth industrial revolution crashing into the logistics world. It's this vision of a smart warehouse where you've got autonomous systems, you've got AI, and a whole suite of digital tech all working in perfect harmony to make everything seamless, super efficient, and incredibly quick to respond. Right, and here's where we hit our first little speed bump. The term itself is, well, it's fuzzy. There's no single agreed-upon definition. And a lot of what's written about it is more speculative than scientific. It's based on what could happen, not what's actually being put to work on the ground today. There's this huge gap between the hype and the reality. So, to get past all that speculation, we really need to look under the hood of a real functioning modern logistics operation. And to do that, we're going to turn to some serious academic research. A recent empirical study decided to just cut right through all that noise. Researchers went deep, and I mean deep, inside a major, world-leading third-party logistics provider, or a 3PL. Now, that's a company that handles all the warehousing and shipping for other businesses, which makes them the absolute perfect place to see what's really going on at the front lines. And they were really thorough about it. First, they reviewed all the existing academic literature. Then, they did a super detailed case study. And, most importantly, they actually interviewed 16 key decision makers and experts inside the company, from Europe, North America, their global divisions, the whole shebang, to get a complete international picture. So, what did they actually find? What technologies are really in the toolbox of a modern, top-of-the-line logistics warehouse? Okay, so the study identified and confirmed these 10 core pillars. This is basically the definitive toolkit for Warehouse 4.0, but it's grounded in real-world application. As you can see, it's got the stuff you'd expect, like the Internet of Things and robotics, but it also includes these crucial, less hyped players, like system integration, which is just making sure all the different software can talk to each other, and of course, cybersecurity. This list gives us a fantastic framework for what's actually being used. A list is great and all, but the details? That's where it gets really, really interesting. So let's take a closer look at a couple of these pillars to see how they actually play out in a real warehouse environment. Let's start with automation. And yeah, it's huge. We're talking robots for picking and packing orders, even drones that fly around counting inventory. But the research uncovered a huge dose of reality. The biggest hurdle isn't the tech itself, it's the business model. See, these systems are super expensive, and 3PLs often have short-term contracts. So any big investment has to be scalable and flexible enough to work for a bunch of different clients, which is a major, major challenge. All right, next step. What about the Internet of Things, this big idea of connecting every physical object to the network? And again, we see this fascinating gap between the hype and the reality. IoT is definitely being used for things like tracking equipment, knowing where every forklift is, or monitoring the temperature of sensitive goods. But RFID, those little radio frequency tags that everyone talks about for tracking individual items, turns out it's not widely used. And why? It's a simple, practical reason. The clients don't put the tags on their products, and it's just way too expensive for the logistics provider to go and do it themselves. And this is just a brilliant illustration of the theme for so many of these technologies. Take blockchain. The promise is absolutely enormous. Perfectly secure supply chains, automated smart contracts, sounds amazing. But the reality? The study found that the company had tested it, and the tech works just fine. But trying to get every single partner in the supply chain,
all the manufacturers, all the shippers, to adopt it, it was just too difficult to actually pull off.
So, okay, we've seen what's real and what's not quite there yet. But honestly, the most valuable part of this research was finding the things that nobody was even talking about.
This is where we get to the real cutting edge. Because the researchers were right there, on the ground, they found brand new applications for these technologies, uses that hadn't even shown up in the academic literature yet. This is a real-time snapshot of innovation happening right now. So what do they find? Well, big data wasn't just for optimizing delivery routes. It was being used to actually automate customer service, with AI handling client questions. Cybersecurity wasn't just about putting up a firewall. It was a whole secure by design philosophy. That means security was built into their software from the very beginning, not just tacked on at the end. And system integration was moving beyond just connecting systems and becoming this powerful tool for optimizing processes and reporting. These are brand new confirmed applications. So, after cutting through all the hype, looking at the real-world challenges, and even uncovering these novel applications, what does this all add up to? How can we finally define the warehouse of the future? What this research really gives us at the end of the day is clarity. We can finally move past the vague buzzword of Warehouse 4.0 and get to a concrete, evidence-based definition of what a modern, high-functioning logistics center actually is and what it does. And here it is. The study proposes this definition. The key phrases to notice are highly integrated system, which shows how all these technologies have to work together, and this part, designed to meet individualized client demands sustainably without increasing costs. That right there perfectly captures the central challenge, delivering customized, high-tech solutions in a way that is still profitable and efficient. That is the heart of the modern warehouse. So the next time you click that Buy button and a package just magically appears at your door, you'll have a much better idea of the complex, data-driven, and honestly highly pragmatic technological dance that made it all happen. So now that you know what's really going on inside that warehouse, what are you going to expect from your next delivery?